Sunday Surefire Podcast. I'm your host, the Commish. Joining me today is the co-host, Aaron Downtown Brown,
Hey, hey,
and the other co-host, the one and only Ethan Weaver.
Mish, how we doing?
We are doing pretty good, boys. Doing pretty good. We are wrapping up our coverage of the 2024 rookie draft class. We've been very rookie heavy over the last 6 or so weeks. Understandable with the NFL draft coming and going, and then we get these landing spots. There's all kinds of things to cover. So we are talking rookies for one more week, but we are not going to have quite as much hard hitting analysis in this episode. We're going to take a little bit of time here tonight just to talk about some hot takes for the 2024 rookie class. So this is going to be fun to buzz through. And what's really going to make this episode a good time is the fact that we have not discussed our hot takes with one another previously. So you're not only getting a hot take, you're getting the other two members of the panel here. You're getting our live or our, first gut instinct reaction to said hot take. So that's going to be good. I know that Aaron Downtown Brown is our king of the hot takes. So when I suggested this week that we do hot takes, I know he got very excited about that. So we won't make him wait any longer, Aaron. We'll go right to you first. Let me know what your first hot take is regarding the 2024 rookie draft class.
all right. I like it. I like it. I'm gonna ease my way in. I think we each have two or three here, so
Hey, there's no
I
easing your way in, Aaron. Come on, you gotta go for
gotta
it.
come in hot.
Yeah. You turn the
Well,
oven to 450 here and let it rip.
and let it go. All right, all right. I try to rank mine less hot takey to the most hot takey, but my first one here is involving Marvin Harrison Jr., right? So I think with him being kind of the talk of the town with most rookie drafts going on, I kind of wanted to get him involved. My hot take this year is I think he's going to score more fantasy points than Justin Jefferson this year. So I think, kind of looking at Justin Jefferson's stellar performance in recent years, I kind of wanted to bring this one up because I have seen a lot of talk where like people who have Justin Jefferson, might be getting like offers for like the 1-1, the 1-2 and stuff like that. And I think there may be scenarios where I say go for it. If you can get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you got to trade away Justin Jefferson, and then you might actually get one more piece, I say go ahead and do it. But one of my biggest I think factors is really just the return of Kyler Murray, healthy Kyler Murray. I mean, he only came back for 8 games last year, but he at 5 out of 8 games, he was a top 12 QB. In 2022, that was closer to 8 out of 10 games before he got hurt. So 80% of the time he's top 12, and about 70% of the time he's a top 10 quarterback. So I think the return of Kyler Murray and having less weapons to work with just really just Harrison and McBride over there in Arizona, I think it's kind of screams a great year for Marvin Harrison for rookie season. So that's my hot take. Marvin Harrison Jr. more fantasy points than Justin Jefferson this year.
Definitely a hot take off the rip to have Marvin Harrison Jr. finish ahead of Justin Jefferson in the 2024 fantasy season. I know Harrison's a great prospect, but Justin Jefferson's obviously been in the league 4 years now, and he's done some great things. He's getting 184, 167 targets when fully healthy, playing 17 games. Obviously, last year he only played the 10 and received 100 targets, but Harrison, I do think, is going to get all the targets he can handle. The depth chart is underwhelming, to say the least, with Michael Wilson, Zay Jones. You have Trey McBride at the tight end position. So Marvin Harrison Jr., I think he's going to eclipse 140, 150 targets rather easily. And he is being compared to the Jamar Chase level prospects. So there's a lot of expectations for Marvin Harrison Jr. And my God, if he comes in and outscores Justin Jefferson, if Justin Jefferson plays all 17 games, that would be insane. And Harrison's stock would just be, I don't know, to the moon. I mean, it's already to the moon as is. I mean, it would be. What would we do? Give first on top of Jefferson for Harrison?
I think the price would go from the moon to the sun on on Marvin Harrison if you were to do that. So it's definitely a hot take right out of the gate, Aaron. So we like it. I think the one thing that if this really is going to materialize, obviously it's going to take Harrison having that instant connection with Kyler Murray. But on the Jefferson side of it, you have to kind of hope that Jefferson just has maybe a little bit of trouble connecting with guys like Sam Darnold if he gets a starting nod, or if JJ McCarthy struggles a little bit to start his career. I mean, that's kind of what I feel like you almost need, the combination of those two things: a hot start from Harrison and a little bit of struggles. As far as struggles even go for a guy like Justin Jefferson to make that possibility into a reality. But it's a good solid start on the hot take front. Ethan, what do you got for your initial hot take here?
Okay, I'm gonna go to my guy, Ladd McConkey. And my hot take is Ladd McConkey will surpass Keenan Allen's rookie numbers. So back in 2013, when Keenan Allen was a rookie, he played 15 games. He had 101 targets, 71 receptions, and 1,046 yards and 8 touchdowns. This is one of the better rookie seasons in the past decade. I believe it ranked number 8 for overall rookie scoring, like I said, over the past 10 years. And my reasoning for this is the LA depth chart and just the lack of kind of target hog profiles on the Las Vegas Chargers. So you have obviously DJ Chark there, Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer. Right now, they have Palmer and Chark playing the same position, so they're going to be competing, it looks like, for 3 wide receiver sets. And then you have QJ and Ladd McConkey. At tight end, you have Will Dissly and Hayden Hurst. So the tight end position doesn't have anybody that's going to command a ton of targets. So I think Ladd McConkey has all the opportunity in the world to just eat receptions. I know people think the Chargers are going to throw like 100 times this season, but in Justin Herbert's first 4 seasons, he's thrown, I guess, dating back from his rookie year on, 595 attempts, 672, 699. And then if we were to project a full season for Herbert last year, I know he got hurt, it would have equated to 596 attempts. And in Philip Rivers in 2013 threw the ball 544 times that year for Keenan Allen to get those numbers. Obviously, the 544 is less than anything Herbert has had to date, but obviously with Greg Roman coming into town and Harbaugh and the beefed up O-line and the run game, we really don't know what is in store for the passing volume in Vegas right now. So it is kind of tough to project, but I don't see Justin Herbert in that passing game plummeting and throwing 450, 400 or less attempts here. So I still think there's going to be some volume, and I think Ladd McConkey has a very good opportunity to just eat targets over the middle and become Justin Herbert's security blanket. So I don't think there's any reason why, in obviously an extra 2 games, because Keenan Allen only played 15 that year. So if Ladd can stay healthy for all 17 games, which obviously he's had his injury concerns, I don't see any reason why he can't go 71 for 1,046 yards and 8 touchdowns. So what do you boys think?
I think that's a bold take. I think considering I think you laid it out pretty good. I think the watch out, like you said, is the offense they're going to be in. I think what we've seen with what we're anticipating is a Harbaugh, rush heavy offense, but we do know that Herbert is going to have to play pass, right? Sometimes, right? And if McConkey is that number 1 option, I do want that for his stock, obviously. But what does he have to surpass, did you say, in receptions and yards to beat Keenan Allen's rookie season?
So 71 receptions and 1,046 yards.
1,046. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like a respectful rookie season if he is that number 1 target, especially with a longer season. So I don't think that's out of the question. I just think we're all, I think as I brought McConkey up last week, is kind of knowing that crystal ball. That was really the first guy that came to my mind. I was like, I really wish I knew what's gonna was going to happen with that offense this year, because I'm kind of puzzled, as you said. Like I really can't envision how it's going to play out.
It's
As
tough.
we've seen different offenses, yeah. So, I can see it panning out. It's like I said, respectful numbers, but I am I can see where that's a hot take, because you got so many people kind of off the passing part of that offense right now.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well. I think it's definitely possible that McConkey just develops that connection with Herbert and goes over that 1,000 yard mark, maybe even flirts with 1,100 yards to exceed that metric. I mean, Justin Herbert, as we know, is obviously going to be now tied to a more run heavy offense, but the passing volume is going to be there to some extent, even if it's not quite what it was in previous seasons with Jim Harbaugh coming up to the from the college level. But yeah, that's a good one here. I like that. I'll get the party going on my hot takes here. I'm sticking with the quarterback position, but I'm not talking about just one guy with this one or two guys. I'm actually going with three quarterbacks. I'm going to say that 2024 will be the first time in league history that three rookie quarterbacks finish in the top 15 in fantasy points scored. And part of this take is this kind of the state of the NFL and where rookie quarterbacks kind of get more opportunities now to start from day one than they did in previous seasons. It was a lot more commonplace for quarterbacks to get drafted even in round one and they'd sit for a year, maybe even half a season or even longer in some cases. So we just saw six quarterbacks get selected in round one. That's the most in any draft since 1983. We know Michael Penix probably will not be starting right away, obviously, with Kirk Cousins there. Drake May probably won't be under center in week one in all likelihood. At least I hope not from a Patriots fan so they can get him some development. But we know Caleb Williams and Jay Daniels are going to start. Bo Nix is probably going to be in that mix too. And JJ McCarthy's actually in that category too. There's a chance he can win the job outright from Sam Darnold too. So I definitely need one of those other guys to win the job for this to come through. But if I were to pick which of the three quarterbacks I think are going to make that happen, I'm going to go with Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels, and JJ McCarthy actually to be the third guy. And Williams, we all know the deal with Caleb Williams at this point. Phenomenal situation, surrounded with weapons around him to be successful. He can also use his legs when needed. Jane Daniels, true Konami code quarterback. That's always a threat to take off too. We saw him chuck it deep a ton in college, and he's being airdropped into a Cliff Kingsbury offense that saw Kyler Murray finish as QB6 overall in his rookie season. And the big one here is McCarthy. If this is going to come to fruition here, obviously he ends up in Minnesota, and we know this team is in the top six in pass rate since Kevin O'Connell took over as head coach 2 seasons ago. So they like to chuck the ball around the yard. He has great weapons in his own right too. So if he wins that job, I think it's wheels up for him too. And that's my leadoff take here. Three quarterbacks that are rookies finishing the top 15 in fantasy points scored this season.
I like it. Some rookie quarterback fever here, but honestly, it definitely is a hot take. But if you just look at the quarterback scoring leaders last year, 1 through 15, like number 16 was Derek Carr, number 17 Justin Herbert, which I assume Justin Herbert's obviously going to vault his way back into the top 15, but he only played, I believe, 10 games. So he was quarterback 17. You had Fields 18, Geno Smith 19, Joshua Dobbs 20. So you don't really need to have an insane season to get in that top 15. At 15, you had Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson at 14, Trevor Lawrence at 13, Sam Howell 12. So with the way some of these rookies can come in the league and just take off, like CJ Stroud, who finished quarterback 11 last year, I definitely think it's a possibility. I think Caleb Williams is a lock. Jaden Daniels, I'm assuming he's going to start every single week with his rushing upside. It's going to be hard, I think, for him not to be inside the 15 in the top 15. And like Kamish said, I think the only wild card here is JJ McCarthy. But with that offense, I think anything is possible. So I definitely like to take.
Yeah, the tough part about last year is there was so many quarterback injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Like guys like Rodgers didn't play. Anthony Richardson missed all but like 3 or 4 games of his rookie season too. So a lot of it did come to do with, like, I think there was, what is it, 67 quarterbacks started a game last year or
Oh,
some
yeah. Yeah.
crazy number.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, like just going down the list. I mean, I said Joshua Dobbs at 20, Gardner Minshew was 21, Desmond Ritter was 22. So it just like some pretty disgusting names in the top 24 there.
Yeah, no, I like the convo. I think the two. I think two is Daniels and Williams is um I guess not a lock, right? But I think they have great potential. If they do avoid injuries, I think that third QB there really just kind of depends how they start, and with May or JJ, do they get that week one start or not? Um, getting that third QB. I mean, that'd be funny if actually Nix is your third one right in there, where the other two they're not week one starters, and Nix is, and he's your third QB that you're speaking of. So, I think that's what this year's draft class makes it pretty fun. With the year of the QB. But as we know, it's tough to hit on everybody, right? So one of these guys has a decent shot of being a bust too, which is kind of crazy to think of. Think about as much hype as they all have. But that's actually a good transition into my second hot take here, and it is involving one of these QBs, and that's actually Jaden Daniels. And I wanted to zone in on here and actually great conversation, right? Kind of talking about how they'll end up competing with each other, and I actually think he's going to be QB1 of the rookie class. I think he'll score more than Caleb Williams, and I'll take it even further because just coming off the fresh memory of how great CJ Stroud's 2023 season was, throwing over 4,000 yards, 23 touchdowns. I'm sorry, yeah, 23. Yep, 23 touchdowns, five picks. I actually think Jane Daniels will have more fantasy points than CJ Stroud did last year in 2023. And before everybody gas over that, one key thing to point out is Stroud only had 163 rushing yards, right? So about 280 fantasy points is great to have, obviously with a season like that. Um, but I think hopefully if Daniels can avoid the injury bug, I think he's got a great shot with having that rushing upside that Stroud doesn't really have. So I think Daniels is going to be king, rookie king next year, and I think he'll actually even do better than Stroud, fantasy wise.
I like it. I like this take a lot. I mean, I think CJ Stroud obviously had a great rookie season from a real football standpoint. Most importantly, and then also from he was really good in fantasy too, especially where you drafted him, which is basically at the end of drafts if you select them at all in redraft. But for him to replicate what he did, he has to be incredibly efficient. Doesn't use his legs like you mentioned. So I think it's more likely than not, based on the price tag that CJ Stroud is going to garner in redraft leagues, that I'm going to have way more shares of Jaden Daniels than I will of CJ Stroud, just based on what he has to do to replicate what he did a season ago. So I like this take a lot. It's probably spicy because how big of a name that Stroud is at the moment, but I like where you're going with this, Aaron.
I like it, and I do think Jane Daniels can have a very good opportunity to be the overall rookie quarterback one. I do think that's still saved for Caleb Williams, just because I think Caleb Williams has just such an insane cast to throw the ball to, and he has a lot of rushing upside as well. But Daniels, obviously, with that rushing floor, is going to have weekly quarterback one upside, in which CJ Stroud does not. I know CJ Stroud can take off a little bit, but he just really chooses not to. So, to both your points, he needs to be very efficient throwing the football. And as efficient as he was last year, he did finish as a back end quarterback one, QB11. So, with Daniels' rushing upside, if he can figure out the pass game, if he can come in the league and have a relatively decent passing floor, I think he'll do just fine. I mean, Justin Fields, his second year was QB7, just basically strictly off rushing, and we all know Daniels can run with the best of them. So it's the reason why he was a Heisman Trophy winner, and is the reason why he was the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft. So definitely like that take, Aaron. And I'm going to go to my second hot take, and I'm going to say Brock Bowers pulls a Sam Laporta and finishes as tight end 1 as rookie. So back-to-back years, a rookie tight end finishes overall tight end 1. It's probably not likely, but I just think Brock Bowers is one of the best tight end prospects we've seen. I think he's a better prospect than Kyle Pitts in terms of just overall production. We obviously we didn't get the physical metrics from Brock Bowers, but I would assume just based on his tape and the way and the way he plays that he is very athletic. Maybe not Kyle Pitts freakish, but probably very close. Just watching Brock Bowers play football, he's a man amongst boys in college. So I think Brock Bowers is just going to come in the league and kind of do what he did when he went from high school to college. In 2021, as a rookie, as a freshman in the SEC at Georgia, he was second team Associated Press All American. He won the Sean Alexander Award, nation's top freshman. He was first team All SEC Freshman of the Year, and led the team with 56 receptions, 882 receiving yards, and a school record 13 receiving touchdowns. Played in all 13 games, 13 starts for the national champion Georgia Bulldogs. So that's a kid coming from high school playing in the best conference in college football and absolutely just dominating. I remember just turning on. I don't watch a ton of college football, like in season. I do a lot of research on these players, like kind of after throughout the process. But I remember just turning on that national championship game, and I was like, "Wow, this Bowers." I was like, "Who is this Bowers kid? He's just absolutely destroying this defense." And obviously, fast forward a few years, and now he's a top 13 pick. So I think Brock Bowers is going to do something similar where he's going to go from college to the NFL and just continue that domination, just like he did when he went from high school to the SEC. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, Ethan. I don't mind it in the spirit of how much tight end premium leagues are getting more and more popular. Definitely would love to keep that trend going and people getting more excited over these young tight ends. I do think it might depend on who Las Vegas chooses as their starting QB. Where if they want more of the conservative approach, where if O'Connell ends up being out Minshew, I think it might be slightly harder. They might be more conservative offense, but I think if they need to be a little bit more competitive in the passing game, they go with Minshew. I think he's got a good chance of putting up some big numbers. So that's how I can see kind of your hot take coming into fruition there if Minshew's the starter there.
Yeah, to me, the real spicy part of this take is the fact that Bowers would have to would do what Laporta did, finishing tight end one as a rookie. He'd have to do it in a much worse offense. I mean, Laporta obviously had the benefit of playing in a top five offense right out of the gate to start his career. Brock Bowers is going to what was a bottom 10 offense in Vegas a season ago, and I don't project him to be too much better than that. Maybe Brock helps him take a step, but he's going to need that big touchdown spike. I'm not sure I see that coming in year one, but hey, we're talking hot takes here, guys. So that I like that one a lot. Definitely fits the mold of a solid hot take right in the middle of our show here. And we'll just keep going with it. I'm going to go to the running back position here. And you guys probably know who I'm going to talk about. I've kind of been the biggest Jonathan Brooks guy here on the program throughout the rookie season. So here I go with him. My hot take around Jonathan Brooks that he's going to finish as a top 8 running back between between weeks 10 and 18. So the second half of the season is when he's really going to take off. And we get guys like this every year in fantasy who they're not a major factor early off in the season. They kind of take off down the stretch. And Brooks just reeks of a mid-round league winner in redraft this season. On the surface, I know Carolina's kind of a murky spot overall at his position in this offense, is kind of up in the air. I mean, people look at this team and they look at Brooks. They say he's coming off an ACL in November, a torn ACL in November of last year. The team's got Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders still on the team, and this offense last season they were tied with the Patriots for the lowest points per game total since 2012. So it was just an abysmal situation, and all those factors I think are going to kind of come together to really hold Brooks back early on. But I think by the time we get around Thanksgiving or so, I think the switch is going to flip for them, and Carolina is going to be in a better spot overall than they were a season ago. I think by then Brooks will be a full year removed from his injury. The Panthers offense will have to take a step forward almost because it has to. It can't really get much worse. We know that. They did sign the top 2 guards in free agency. They drafted a new center. They also brought in an offensive-minded head coach in Dave Canales. And if you look at how the one season of him as an offensive coordinator last year in Tampa Bay, we saw him force feed the ball to Rachaad White, who got 76% of the team's total running back touches last year. So I think from what we know, he wants to feature one back, and we know that Hubbard and Sanders are not the future of this backfield. We know that's Brooks' job, but I think we're going to get to see that future unfold as soon as the midway point of this season. So Brooks is going to be their guy going forward. I think we're going to get a taste of it down the stretch of 2024. What do you guys think?
I do like that take. At first, when you said Jonathan Brooks, I was worried you were going to say top 8 running back for the season. And I was a little nervous because obviously he's coming off an ACL, and I do think he's going to come on rather slowly. I don't think the Panthers are going anywhere this year, and there's no point to rush him back, considering that they have Chuba and Miles Sanders there. But I do like that take towards the back end of the season. He's going to get his feet wet, like you said, a year removed from the ACL. I do think Jonathan Brooks is going to have a chance to show us the juice he does have. If he doesn't tear his ACL, who knows? Maybe he does find himself maybe in the first round of the NFL draft. But I know a lot of people were high on him, even with the ACL injury. A lot of people had him as their RB1. So we'll see what he can do. And hopefully that offense can take a step forward. Like you said, there's really no way to go but up, because obviously we want to have running backs in high octane offenses. And that was anything but for the Carolina Panthers last year. So yeah, I definitely like that take for Jonathan Brooks, just for the simple fact that it does give him time to get healthy, learn the system, and then get fresh legs towards the back end of the season and dominate, and hopefully help win a lot of people a fantasy championship.
Yeah, I like it too. I like the detailed part of the second half of the season. Right, that's as you said, that's the time you really want some of those rookie running backs to come on strong. So yeah, I would love it for a lot of reasons, obviously in Dynasty, but even if you pick them up in like best ball, or some of you pick them up on waivers or something as a sleeper in redraft league. So I would love to see it. I guess I'm a little two-sided there. I was a little sad when I saw him draft Brooks as a Chuba Hubbard owner in fantasy, but what are you gonna do there? So, but yeah, I like it. I like it. How much can really argue with hot takes? That actually moves on to my hot take here, and actually my fantasy, my rookie darling, that I found myself to really attach to, and that's Malachi Corley. My hot take with Corley is so one thing about him is you can usually get him in the second round or mid second. And my hot take is he's actually going to outperform Brian Thomas of the Jaguars this year. So I think Corley's going to have more reception touchdowns and fantasy points than Brian Thomas of the Jaguars, who is going pretty much, either first or second wide receiver after the top 3 rookie drafts, which is that late first round pick. So I love the fact that Aaron Rodgers is already trying to take him in, and he's offering him rent in his guest house, right? So I think one thing with that is obviously being the Yak King, but even I think Rodgers has a great like goal line plays where I think him and Corley can get these really like how did they do that? How is he so wide open type of touchdowns where I can really see Corley coming down with some really easy inside the 5 touchdowns with Rodgers this year. So that's my hot take with Malachi Corley of the Jets.
Well, that's definitely a fun one. And I want to be on board with you because I'm not the biggest Brian Thomas guy in the world coming out of college. And I really do like Malachi Corley as a prospect. It's definitely hot because it's going to take a lot for Corley to get the required looks to produce enough to outscore someone like Brian Thomas, who is going to be on the field a ton. I mean, there's a chance that he even leads his team in targets as a rookie. That's in the realm of possibilities. So I think it's going to take a lot to get there, but I like it as a good hot take for that reason.
I know Aaron loves Malachi Corley because I was actually very surprised in a recent rookie draft that we had that he chose Corley over a first round receiver in Xavier Legette. So I know he's high on Corley. I like Corley as well. I was getting him in the early third round and some of my rookie drafts. I know Aaron took him at the back end of the second, but I do like Corley. He obviously he's great with the ball in his hands. Hopefully he can earn that starting slot position for the New York Jets. And we all know Aaron Rodgers is being hospitable and allowing him to live in his guest house. So that's good news for Malachi Corley and his relationship with Aaron Rodgers. But that'll bring me to my last hot take, and I'm going to go back to the running back position, and I'm going to say Jalen Wright will finish as the rookie RB1. And I know he is third on the depth chart right now for Miami, but I'll try to lay out the case, right? So I think Brooks right off the rip is kind of out for rookie RB1 just because I don't think he's going to play very much in the beginning of the season. As Kamish said, he's coming off a knee, and we all know he's drafted in the second round, but there's no point to rushing back with Chuba, who was very serviceable last year. And they did pay Miles Sanders, even though that was a massive bust of the contract. But there's really no need to rush Brooks back, as I said, because they're really not competing for a Super Bowl this year. So I think that takes Brooks out. Benson is going to take a backseat to James Conner. I think Benson's going to get his work. As long as Conner stays healthy, I mean, Conner was an animal down the stretch last year. The last 5 weeks, he was RB in half point PPR. He was RB 5, 11, 5, 3, and 1. I know he's getting a little older, but I think he has one more decent fantasy run in him. And I do think it takes Benson a little while to get going. Blake Corum, he's behind Kyren Williams. If Kyren Williams is healthy all year, I think he's still going to be easily 60 plus, 70 plus percent touch share. And that brings us to Miami, right? You have A-Chain, Mostert, and Jalen Wright here. So last year, Mostert had 582 snaps, 217 attempts. A-Chain had 323 snaps, 109 attempts. And Jeff Wilson, 161 snaps, 41 attempts. And then you had Ahmed and Chris Brooks also get very, very few snaps and attempts. But I'm kind of banking on, I mean, I'm hoping nobody gets hurt, but Mostert's getting up there. I don't think he's going to be healthy all season. Obviously, A-Chain, who knows with him? He's kind of been in and out, but A-Chain's a guy that gets 10 to 15 touches a game. I don't think you want to give A-Chain any more than that because I think you're going to see bad things just because he's a smaller back. I know A-Chain, I do expect him to come in like heavier this year because he's done running track. I know just in college when he was running track and trying to play football, he really wasn't – he couldn't really gain weight for football because he still kind of had to say trim for track. So this is the kind of the first time in his life where he can just focus on football. So I'm hoping he actually can come in a little beefier and he can handle a little bit more workload. But I just love Jalen Wright. I think he's explosive. I think he's a guy that doesn't need a ton of run to get his production. And I do think he can be the RB2 at some point this season for the Miami Dolphins. And like I said, A-Chain's not a 60% guy. So there's always going to be two running backs in this backfield. Mostert's getting up in age, and all it takes is basically one injury, and I think it's wheels up for Jalen Wright. I know he's buried. It looks like he's buried right now, but I think you just look at the entire running back class. There's really nobody that's going to walk in to the majority share of touches. And I think the biggest reason for that, like I said, with Brooks is ACL injury. And then everybody else is kind of drafted into a situation where they're the RB2 on their team at best. So I know it's hot, but I like Jalen Wright as a prospect. I think he's very explosive, and I think he can do a lot of damage in that Miami Dolphins rushing attack.
Without knowing it, Ethan snuck in another hot take in there when he said if James Conner stays healthy for a whole season.
Well, I mean, the majority of the year, like, hey, he's probably going to miss at least probably, I don't know, 2-3 games. But if he's healthy for like the majority of the year.
Yeah, he's missed time in every season, but has certainly been years when that's been the case where he just misses a couple of weeks and then but resumes his starter's role when he gets back on the field. But yeah, I mean, I think Benson might be the leader in the clubhouse for all the reasons that you mentioned there. But I like to call it for Wright because I mean he's in kind of a group of guys who are in committees right now, and as you said, Mostert's aging out, and Achane is never going to be a guy who carries the mail. Even that's nice of him to focus on football and put on some more weight to get ready for his career rather than messing around with track. That's very big of him. But
Hey,
I like this call as well. They love their fast running backs in Miami, and even if Mostert takes some shine away early on, I think he's kind of been a ticking time bomb for most of his career from a health standpoint. So, Aaron, let me know what your thoughts on this one are, and then I'll bring it home with the final hot take.
Yeah, I especially like it because I
I knew
think
you
the
would. I knew you would.
that's right, that's right. That draft that Ethan was mentioning, I actually made a move to trade back from the 2-1, right? Kind of figuring out that maybe Keon Coleman would be there at 2-1, and my plan actually, I got back to back picks, and I got my guy Malachi Corley and then Jalen Wright. So I guess the way I looked at that from a dynasty perspective, it's just exactly what Ethan was saying. Where I think Jalen Wright has a chance of being that net number one running back over there in Miami if Mostert does go down, and then in years to come as well, right? I think Achane will always be there. I think he's going to have his explosive games where they're going to alternate snaps. But as we know, that's NFL, right? Achane's going to do Achane things, but I do like Jalen Wright having those big games as well. So I guess I gotta love it, right?
Oh, you have to. You committed.
I have to.
You are required to love it, mandatory. Okay, so I'm going to bring it home here. I'm going to talk about another rookie who's going to be a big volume guy. I'm going to the wide receiver position, and I'm going to say that Troy Franklin of the Denver Broncos finishes in the top 3 in targets among rookie wide receivers in 2024. I can't in good conscience say he's going to earn more looks than guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. I think that'd be there's hot takes and there's crazy, so I had to slot him into the number 3 slot here for a hot take. But I think beyond those two, it's kind of fair game to question which rookie's gonna come in third in targets. I mean, based on Ethan's initial hot take, I think he thinks it's gonna be Ladd McConkey. I think that's on the table as well. I think Brian Thomas has to be in that mix based on the capital they spent on him. Or maybe you think that Keenan Allen finally goes down early in a year and you go with the talent and Rome Odunze to be that guy. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm going to make the case for Franklin here. He's walking into a situation where he has a chance to compete for the WR2 spot behind Courtland Sutton right out of the gate. I mean, outside of Franklin and Sutton, this team's wide receiver depth consists of Marvin Mims, who was invisible on offense in 2023. And they got a bunch of kind of meh pieces like Josh Reynolds and Tim Patrick and little Jordan Humphrey to round out the depth on this roster. The tight end room is no great shakes either, with Greg Dulcich and Adam Troutman kind of leading that group too. So we look at what we know about Franklin, and he caught passes from Bo Nix in each of the last 2 seasons at Oregon. So he has a leg up in terms of chemistry with the Denver's first round quarterback. And we know Sean Payton's going to make things simple for a rookie quarterback. And Franklin is a guy who can do a lot of things, including catching the ball and kind of some of those screen passes, then making plays with his legs. And that Oregon offense kind of lulled you to sleep with a lot of quick passes, screen passes, hitches and stuff like that. And then they beat you over the top quickly on some of those deep routes. And Franklin got a lot of those too in his time with the Ducks. So I'm going to go here and say that, he's a guy going on the second and third round borderline in dynasty rookie drafts is going to be very much alive in this offense. And I think he's going to surprise some people here with my final hot take. Troy Franklin finishes in the top 3 in targets among rookie wide receivers this season.
Now that is a way to end the hot take segment there. I definitely like that. That's definitely coming in hot. I'll probably have to remember that too. If once we start seeing those targets go up in the season, that might be a fun player to throw in our daily fantasy show, right? That'd be a nice pick 6 player that we throw out there. So yeah, definitely like that call out. I kind of wish that happens. Where you can kind of get Franklin for kind of cheap draft picks now as he's fallen back into that in later in that second round as well. So I love it. Definitely love that take there.
Yeah, not a huge Franklin guy, but he does have an opportunity. I mean, there's not much there in Denver outside Cortland Sutton. You have Josh Reynolds. I mean, Troy Franklin obviously is paired back up with Bo Nix. So I do think that's definitely going to help his cause, considering they do have a connection. I'm just not sure if he's going to command the targets like my guy Lad McConkey in the middle of the field. But hey, you never know. Troy Franklin was somebody that the fantasy community was very high on until the NFL Combine, and then he obviously fell down boards, and then the NFL Draft came and he fell even further. So obviously, there's opportunity there with his old college quarterback. So it's definitely a hot take, but that's what we're here for.
It sure is. It sure is. I hope you folks had your fire extinguishers ready when you hit the play button on this episode, because we hit you guys with some pretty heavy ones there in this episode. Really fun rookie season for us here on the show. I mean, we get so hyped up for this one. As soon as the fantasy season ends, we're immediately turn that page to rookies. So any parting thoughts from either of you guys on what it was like to go over this class, or anything else all rookie related. Get it out of your system now, because we're turning the page to the rest of the league starting next week.
I love rookie season. This is one of the best times in Dynasty with the NFL Combine, then the NFL Draft, kind of just combing through these rookies, taking the time, going through all these rookie profiles, the numbers, and it's just the NFL Draft is kind of the cherry on top to kind of see where all these players that you've been studying for months go. And the 2024 class, just looking at it right now, it's been great. I mean, just going through a couple of rookie drafts thus far, I think the second round has great value. If you accumulated a bunch of 2024 seconds, I think you're doing great. I mean, the entirety of the first round, you're getting a very, very good prospect. I mean, I'm seeing guys like Lad McConkey fall to the second round. I mean, you're getting guys like Michael Penix sometimes in the second round. I mean, first round quarterbacks in the top of the second, back end of the first. So this class definitely did not disappoint. Hopefully, all this hype leads to actual fantasy production. But I just want to just say this 2024 class was deep, a lot deeper than in years prior. Uh, I mean, obviously a lot can change, but looking at it right now, I mean, even the third round, there's a lot of guys I like to target. So definitely a solid rookie class, but it's going to be sad to turn the page because rookie season is a lot of fun.
I agree with that. I think it is a lot of fun, but I think what this exercise also forces you to do is like, hey, what's against the status quo too? Because we know, drafting these rookies every year, it sounds right, it looks right, as far as what we can see, right? But every season there's definitely some surprises in the NFL season. I think that's the funnest part, and that also is the part that sucks the most being in fantasy too, where you might have had a lot of stock on a guy and he kind of falls on his face too. So I think it's also important to remember that, and as you said, like in those second and third round picks, there's always those couple that sneak up and really have those breakout year ones as well that were kind of looked over too. So that's all together kind of the fun in the whole exercise too.
Definitely agree. It's a great time of year. Rookie fever, especially the one that gets to a fever pitch, is an awesome time to be involved in Dynasty, and it's what makes the Dynasty process so much fun. I mean, because we get every year we get this new crop of toys for the community to look at and hype, and in some cases overhype, and it's easy to extract value too from the veteran landscape during rookie time. So because the rookies are in demand this time of year, so even if you're a contending team, you can't ignore the rookies, and if you're rebuilding, you're certainly heavily invested in rookie season. So it really is a fun time of year to comb through this. So it was fun. It'll be fun again next year. And as far as the 24 class goes, I'm sure as we move on through the offseason, we'll be talking about these guys and hopefully making an impact this season. And maybe, who knows, guys, maybe some of these hot takes will come through. We'll have to definitely put a pin in this one and come back to it down the line and see just how close we were on some of these. But until next time, folks, peace.